I get a lot of viewers ask questions and a lot of people leaving comments regarding firearm safety or ranged weapon safety in general, and I thought it'd be a good idea to make a video to clear up how I do some things and what I consider to be sensible weapon safety, but at the same time not being so over the top I can't even use the gun or whatever's in question. So what I'm going to do in the video is give you some quick tips really to ensure that the weapon you're using is safe to yourself and to others, and that nobody's going to get hurt involved with you doing whatever you're doing. Now, the important thing to note is that you can never be 100% safe with a weapon because it's a weapon, but you can obviously minimise the risks to such a degree that there's almost no chance of anything going wrong. So that's what I'm going to show in the video. I'm going to be using an air rifle in the video, but a lot of the same logic will apply to using an actual rifle, an air rifle or a crossbow, and I'll just make a couple of notes as I get to things that might vary on them. The first step is to always check where you'll be firing the weapon and to make sure the range is safe. By this I mean nobody else can get hit in any way. So as you can see, I'll be aiming down the path at the metal bin. To the left and right is my own garden. Nobody can get in here unless they vault the fence. There's no danger there. If I hit the bin, I know an air rifle pellet will have no chance of penetrating both sides and the inside of the bin and going through the fence. So the range is safe. The danger obviously with something like a crossbow or a high powered rifle is it would be very easy for the bullet or projectile to go through what we're aiming at and go beyond. So that can cause a danger to others, but we're going to minimise this risk by only shooting something we know will stop the rifle pellet, and the bin's big enough that there's enough margin for error that I won't miss the target and hit something else. A good rule of thumb is to always assume the weapon is loaded unless you absolutely certainly know it isn't. This will prevent you of doing a lot of silly things like muzzle sweeping, and also obviously lower the risk of a danger much more. So what I'll demonstrate here is that when transporting a firearm, the barrel should always be placed towards the ground when transporting it, and your finger should always be off the trigger, and the safety should always be on. So as you can see, transporting it like this, the barrel is always on the ground, so the projectile can't go anywhere else, and there is a slight chance that if a projectile did go off it could ricochet, but when pointed at the grass it's even lower. Notice my finger is not on the trigger, my finger is here. This is what we call trigger discipline. Rather than popping my finger in there, what I'm doing is putting my finger on either side of the guard or underneath, anything like this. This means if my hand jerks, I can't pull it. The safety is also on. If I had the safety off, there's a danger as well, I could pull the trigger. However, all these things make rifles much safer. You should never rely on a mechanical safety for the sake of always load. When you break the barrel to load the ammo, you should always keep your hand here to prevent the arm snapping and slipping back. I have never experienced this doing anything to snap back on this rifle, but people keep advising me to do it, so I'm doing it. So keeping a hand on there when you load it stops it snapping onto your hand. You should only load the projectile once you're ready to fire. This reduces a lot of risks. For example, I'm now going to shoot so the projectile's loaded. The safety is still on at the stage and my finger isn't on the trigger yet and the gun's pointing in a safe direction. For example, if you're loading a crossbow, you should be aiming it down range at the point you're actually going to load it. And with a rifle, you shouldn't chamber around until you're actually ready to fire. So we can see the distance to the target is clear. We know our backstop's there. So I'll get ready to aim. And I'll just go in front of the camera so you can see my process. Rifle's pointed to the ground. Absolutely no risk associated with this, or any risk there is has been completely minimised. Following rules like this is obviously very important, especially with what I call proper firearms, because you obviously are lowering the risks that somebody will be hurt or killed with it far lower. So quite simple steps to follow, but they do a lot to improve firearm safety. And this is all I consider that I need to do. Some people in the comments often say things like, I'm still being too lax with the things I do, but this is my garden. If anybody trespasses into it and gets shot, that's kind of their own fault. You know, I'm not going to constantly keep checking down the path to make sure nobody's vaulting over the fence, because they shouldn't be doing it. And if they do run into my line of fire on private property, that's their own problem. I mean, if you owned a field or something, you definitely want signs up to warn people away, but when there's a fence here, there's no danger of that happening. So following these rules obviously keep you a lot safer, and it will keep the critics away, and it will keep especially the anti-gun people away from saying firearm users are dangerous.